1Ks. You're not.
Oh, so you're in game. Oh, you stinker. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Brew Show. We are doing our episode 2 of Let's Talk Dual Universe, and we've got our special guest today is the one, the only, the very famous and well-known 1000stars. If you've been playing the game for any length of time, you have seen his ships and wish you had one. And they have been in almost every video produced by Novaquark over the last several years. They're amazing, absolutely amazing ships. He's got a gift, and we're going to ask him a lot of questions about how he designs and what he does. But welcome, everybody. Good morning. Glad to have you. Last week's show was really something. We had JC here, and we grilled him, asked him a lot of great questions, and I just got to say, he's a fantastic guest. I mean, you interview him, and the interview just kind of does itself. He's got a really casual style, which fits right in with what we do here. So that was wonderful. And thank you, Naerais, for setting that all up. We appreciate that greatly. And
that was wonderful.
And we look forward to having more guests from Novaquark, which hopefully we'll have in the coming months. So looking forward to that as well.
Have you seen 1K's voxelmancer board?
You gotta wait to show them.
Okay, I'll wait. We'll when we talk, we'll wait.
Okay. Well, without further ado, let me click the next button. And so there we are. Good morning, everybody. And we got Pantera's here. It's Pantera, myself, and JC. What happened?
Oh,
JC
okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
You got scruffy really quick.
Jeez.
All that work to make everything perfect, and oops.
Whoops. And look at that. I switched
Funny.
that, and he becomes Noober. All right.
I actually dreamed I shaved my head last night.
There's oh my god. Oh well. Hey, you do all the planning in the world, but we'll just keep it casual.
Nooper got fluffy.
So, what's funny is
Can you change my name too?
no, I can't. If I change yours, his name goes back to JC. I screwed up the slides. Oh well. So, but I'll turn them off. Don't need them. That's epic.
There we go.
Oh my god.
That works.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Yeah, boy, we're organized over here. We got some great stuff to show you. It's been a fun time getting set up for our show, and we've got some wonderful guests lined up for the coming shows. But today, man, we've got the one and only 1K. So 1K, I mean, we go way back. We met 1K when we were doing Landmark, and met him early on, and he wowed and amazed us with the ships. So he was building sci-fi ships way back in Landmark. Of course, you couldn't fly those things around. So, and I don't have any pictures of those, though I should.
I could probably send you some on Discord if you want.
Okay, I wouldn't be able to get them integrated in time, but
no problem.
Real quick though, I wanted to let's start off the show and look at the slides that we were showing in the pre-show of some of your work. This is, I believe, all of it's in the beta. So this is all current stuff. There we go. See, I got that one. I got that slide right. Look at that. it's got everyone's names on it right. So
you probably just leave it on this.
Yeah. In fact, you know what? Let me pause the show here, and we can talk about some of these ships. I want to go back. So I've got the Naga on here, and this ship was really striking when it first appeared. I mean, I knew instantly it was yours, just because it fits your style. It appeared in the alpha before the second to the last wipe, I believe. Anyway, it's amazing. And can you talk about this particular ship and what inspired the build?
It was an experimental build. I really wanted to do something a little bit different than I've been doing. Most of the ships that I do were more sleek in design. This one I wanted to kind of go a little bit more vertical with. and of course it's my style. It's got a lot of I guess you could call detail to it. I had a little bit of help from the community with coloring. That was kind of a pain to decide. I went through, I think, 10 or 11 different colors before I chose that one. It ended up being the ship that Naerais suggested we do for the, what is that, 3D model, the 3D printed model.
You guys
And,
remember that? They 3D printed this particular ship. That was really impressive.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of fun with it, but I had a lot of trouble. So I had to redo it a couple times. I think I have like 3 different blueprints of it, but I had a lot of fun.
What are some of the color schemes that you use besides the red and black? And that red, is that steel?
Yeah, I wanted to use steel for this one because the point behind making this was it was going to actually be a little bit more armored. The core was going to be behind a few different layers of different kinds of metals. It was going to be a space combat ship at first, and I wanted steel on the outside, and I wanted something a little bit more tougher on the inside, and I didn't want to make it entirely out of aluminum like I had for most of my ships for speed. I wanted it more a little bit more armored for everything.
Dude, it's beautiful. I remember the first one I saw. I think it was purple and black.
Yeah, I think I went through like a purplish. I didn't like it too much. I kind of wanted to go with a little bit of my 1K logo scheme.
What's funny is
but
I had never seen this one. The first time I saw this version was when we visited the museum, which is this particular museum. I think is on Alioth. But yeah, my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah, there's the video that it was actually in. It was in a NQ color scheme that they picked out, and I thought that was kind of cool too. They always have such fun with my ships, like the Skipjack and the Naga, putting different colors and stuff on them, and I always find that interesting.
There was
different variations.
Wasn't it the PvP video that they put out?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the space combat in it.
All right, we've got a couple of these. We'll play one when we show off the Goblin Shark. I've got a video for that. Next up, though, is another one that we saw at the museum. This one, I remember the first time I saw this, jaw just hit the ground.
Yeah, this one was a little bit fortuitous in the naming. It's called the Kraken, which it just happens to be a hockey team that we just acquired here in Seattle. Yay! Awesome.
That's cool. What was the inspiration behind this?
This was another ship that I kind of wanted to do entirely different, but I still wanted it to be a little bit sleek looking. And when I first made it, I have to admit that it was going to be flying the opposite direction than it actually was. But I ended up wanting to put all the points forward because it fit kind of the name to it, the Kraken. And I wanted the cockpit to be surrounded by a lot of voxel material. Not a whole lot of room to see, but a lot of armor on there.
It's a cool design. Have you respawned this into the game yet? During the beta?
Soon. That's actually my next project that I want to acquire. Once I get some money, I'm gonna be bringing as many ships back into the game as possible, and this is the first one I want to bring back, and maybe even recolor it a little bit.
We're anxious. I can see our entire fleet of ships all just being yours.
So that brings up one of my questions: is what is your favorite shade of black, sir?
Any of them. They're all good.
He's like Batman. He's the Batman of Dual Universe.
Sometimes really dark grays.
I have a thing with my ships. I usually put them in what I call a gray box, and I got that from another game that I've been watching. But gray box, I think, is a common term where you just make everything out of one material just so you can get the shadows right on it. And that's what's important to me, is making sure that you get the right shadows and the right details in the right spot before you pick your colors out.
Really? Oh, that's a great tip right there. I had not thought of that before. Now, when you design these, you're not working from a 3D model, are you? Projected in?
No. I think the projector's a really cool idea, but if I was to do a projector, I would probably have to do my own Blender item. I'd have to do my own thing and import my own object file in order to do that. I just can't take somebody else's work and
Sure.
replicate it that way. I don't have a problem with those types of ships. That's the way I want to do mine.
Now, do you do any of your planning in Blender? Any of your design?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
All of my work, I use a little bit of Pinterest just to look at some of the ideas that other people have gotten. I get a little trendy that way, but for the most part, I'm just taking ideas from little parts of everybody else's ideas and kind of integrate my own style onto everything.
Next picture of the slides that you sent me is this amazing shot of your house. Now, this is on the Sanctuary Moon, and I believe this is your office area.
Yep, this is my office. I wanted it to specifically be my house was also my little place of personal work in game. So if anybody was going to come and ask me for any of my ships or take a look at any of the ships that I will have on display, this is where we could talk it over and maybe hang out and discuss and have a nice view of the surrounding ships and the surrounding area.
Do you get design inspiration from any famous architects, or you just dream this up out of your head?
I guess you could say I get inspiration from architects and stuff, but I don't really go by any of the names or any of the popular styles. I just really look at all the pictures and that's, if I like something from there, I just put it in my memory bank and use it later.
Oh, that's amazing. So what I notice here is a great use of the luminescent white glass.
Oh yeah, I love that. Thank God it's here.
And the reflective materials in here.
Yeah.
So I mean, the color palette is really simple. It looks like you've got maybe 4 materials.
Yeah, that's another thing that's coming up a little bit later if you end up taking a look at my voxel board.
Okay. Next, here's this. I love this picture you sent. So this is the rest of the interior in his house. You've got a weapon on the wall that we haven't seen in game yet.
Yeah, this is in my kitchen, and I need some personal defense in case somebody wants to try and steal my ships. So I decided I needed a weapon to defend myself.
That's an extra small Atmo engine, is it not?
Yeah, that's a stabilizer and an extra small Atmo with a little bit of wood, like 3 voxels of wood in the middle. Nothing really complicated, but it's also gigantic. It's like it'd be a bazooka on your shoulders. I think Pantera took a picture of me or something with that, or Deaders maybe.
There are so many textures in the game that most of us haven't even explored or experimented with. And when I saw the very first picture of your house, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, "What is that material you use for the wall?" And just before he tells us, everyone take a guess. What material you think that is on the wall, for the wall?
I know, so I won't guess.
My first thought was it was some kind of concrete that I had not seen before, but no. Anybody?
I'm in his house right now, so I could tell you.
Catavari, good guess. Bamboo.
I love it. I have house envy.
Yeah.
It really does
There
look
you
like
go.
a light stained bamboo.
Kermit. Hey,
But
man. Yeah, it
yeah,
does.
it's a
It does.
wood
it does
pattern,
look-
light brown 4. It's just one of the wood patterns. It's nice.
Yep.
I like it.
I think
Yep.
you said before it's aged gray wood pattern
Stained brown wood pattern 4.
or gray aged wood pattern.
Wood pattern, light
Age.
brown.
Age stained brown pattern 4, brown 8.
We have
Oh,
2 names
you're
for it
reading it
because
off the
they're
wall,
not updated
okay.
yet.
Oh, okay. And so, one name when you hover over the material and hit H, and then a different name in the crafting system.
Yep, correct.
Okay, all right.
That's
God,
confusing.
That's so cool looking.
White, brown, purple board, 12.
So I see something. I see a common element throughout many of your designs, and that is your use of. Hopefully, you can see my mouse in here, but you've got these beams that are running through, and I see that you use this to break up a space and add dimension. And it's not just in your static constructs, but I see similar stuff on your ships. We saw it on the Kraken, like the rib cage kind of that you'd made in the middle of it. Where do you get that technique from? That design technique?
That's just I don't know, something I've always done. If you have a large blank space, it's okay as long as there's enough detail to make that space viable, in my opinion. Your eyes need a place to rest eventually, but you also have to be interested in the different kinds of shapes and constantly kind of moving your eyes around the entire shape to look at all the different interesting points of it. So if you have more detail in an area, your eyes are going to be drawn there first. But I just use the contrast and to create shadows and the depth to create shadows, and
That's exactly what I was
little
noticing
places
right here.
interesting. It's better than a flat ceiling. So
Exactly what I was noticing here. So you can see the shadows. So you embedded a light up there to deliberately cast these shadows into the space below. It's just
totally
fantastic.
makes it interesting.
Fantastic stuff, man.
Thank you for the raid, Biomechanical.
Hey, Biomechanical.
Bravo. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Cheers and welcome to the show. We're doing Dual Universe. It's our second episode of Let's Talk Dual Universe. And we're here with our special guest, 1000stars, who's been in the game with us for 3 years now and was with us in Landmark for many years before that.
Yeah, since 2014, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we've known you a long time. Corain, good morning. Wow, one of our original producers. Corain, welcome. Nice to see you.
Okay, lady.
That's great.
Wow, Corain's here. I haven't seen her in a long time.
Nice to see you. It's good. That's good, especially now. So here's a picture that I got from 1K, and when I saw this, I've never seen this in the game before. So 1K, you want to tell us about this ship? I mean, it looks almost familiar, but first time I've seen it.
This is evolution number 3 of a ship I call the Sockeye. And the Sockeye started way back in, I think, Alpha 1. Didn't make the cut, in my opinion. I left it on the blueprint for quite a while and didn't touch it for much. Came back in beta, and I decided that I needed another large small core. If that makes sense to anybody. I wanted something that I could call my own personal hauler, and this one just came to my mind. So I did a version number 2 of it, and I liked it. I thought it was good, but it needed to be revamped again. So this is version number 3, and it's a little bit more of a sleek version of a hauler. I think it's the highest I've gotten it so far is like 220 tons hauling capacity. So it does the job for a solo player, no problem, and it's pretty fast. It goes up to 1,000, and it's sleek looking. I love it. And I got to use the Lumicite on one of my ships for the first time. So.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic! I've got a lot of us in the organization have a copy of the Skipjack, and I can't wait to add some of the Lumicite to it. That's it's just an amazing looking ship. So I noticed there's a departure here from some of your previous ships. You've got looks like you've got wings attached to this on the outside.
Yep, that was one of my focal points that I wanted to do with it. I wanted to see what I could do with the largest stabilizers in the game and see if I could make something look good out of those wings. That's why the color is similar. So
they are stabilizers.
Yeah, I stuck it right up front, and they work just fine for what I'm doing. They're not great for min-maxing if you're into
Mhm.
shipbuilding. It's kind of heavy once you get into the dead zone above Atmo, but they work just fine for what I'm doing and my purpose.
Now, this is space capable or just Atmo?
Oh yeah, space capable.
Okay,
I can
all
go
right.
anywhere with that.
Oh, that's impressive. Oh man, you've been really busy. So this is the expansion of your house on. Good grief! So this is on
Yeah.
the sanctuary moon.
That's actually an older picture too. I've got about another week's worth of work on top of that. It fills to the top of a large core that I have built there. So it's a nice little tower going on, and I still got a lot of work to do. The section that you're seeing up above on the left, there's a little box type area with a window. That's going to be the control tower for anything technical that I want to do with the lighting, or if I want to see who's out on the landing pad or whatever. But the rest of the stuff on the right and the large slanted part of the building there, that's all going to be my new industry section. And then I'm going to have a new penthouse and personal space for myself up top.
Says she loves your use of textures, 1K.
Thank you, or my lack thereof.
So
I don't
what?
use very many.
So what have you done that's not in the picture right now? And Pantera,
It's
you're
probably
the-
about twice as tall as what
Okay.
you're seeing there.
Wow,
It's big.
it's big. Oh, that's so cool.
I could share my screen with you if you can get an extra window on it.
No, that'll reposition all the cameras.
It's dark anyway. It's nighttime here. I'm kind of
Yeah,
glad
but
you're not seeing
the
it here.
Lumisite makes it look pretty.
True.
Yeah.
So Naerais says you pair shiny and matte like a master for some impressive views.
Yeah, that's true. I'm glad you noticed that. That's something that I like to do a lot. If I'm going to do a contrast of similar colors, then I'm going to have one gloss and I'm probably going to have another one matte. And that's just going to create the contrast that I need.
Did you study design anywhere, or it was just intuitive for you? Or
Well, I've always loved art, and I've just paid attention to art more than anything in school. I don't have any degrees or anything like that. Never studied. I just picked stuff up as I went along.
it's just a natural, just a gift.
I guess.
It is. It's a gift I've yet to receive. That's amazing. So now here's another picture you sent me, and I saw this and my jaw hit the floor. Look
This
at
is
this.
all
Jaws on the
black,
floor a lot.
Yeah.
polished black aluminum, I believe. Skipjack with a couple of, I believe they're railguns or cannons. I think they're cannons.
Cannons.
Pantera, have you
Yeah.
flown this yet?
Nope. Staring at it though.
Wow. So what inspired this?
I wanted to bring the Skipjack back into game, and I wanted it to be an absolute base model, one singular color. And I wanted to put guns on it, even though it's not actual space combat capable in that form. It totally could be. I could easily put, the things that are required to get it into space and do combat at the moment. But I just wanted to show everybody, what it looks like and get people interested in the basic shape language of 1000 Stars, 1K brand.
So the Skipjack is the ship that is probably the most famous of all the ships that you've done. We've seen versions of this variants in most of the videos produced by Novaquark. It's absolutely incredible. Man. So I recommend, I don't know if you've had a chance to fly the version that Debtors has made. Have you flown that yet? 1K?
I've been on it. I didn't want to fly his version because I have a different style of flying.
Okay.
I always use the virtual joystick. I like the mouse
okay.
movement
Okay.
and only having to push 2 buttons to roll. And I just think that's a little bit more intuitive for me, just to fly like that.
There's some Lua that he added for auto hover and auto level, and the other thing that he can do is he can stand it on his tail and he can hover at pretty much any altitude, and it's space capable.
Yeah, I actually watched him take it and put it on its tail to start, and I thought he was just going to launch it straight up. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, of course it can do that. I've done that myself. But then I realized that he actually set it to a point where he could go up about 10 meters and just let it sit there and hover, and actually like hover on its back end and move it around that way too. And it was really cool to see.
So one of the members in our org, Ivledev, made a space elevator, and a skyport elevator, and at 1,000 meters or 1,100 meters, Debtors used the Skipjack to hover just above our platform. I mean, vertically. It was it's an amazing ship, absolutely amazing ship, and by far one of my favorite in the game. But this black, goes to Pantera's question. What's your favorite color of black?
Black gloss with matte black. I like matte black stripes on black gloss. I think that's
the
my
iron?
favorite color.
Is that the iron?
Polished black aluminum, but that just makes it light.
Okay.
You can put it in almost any one of those colors depending on your needs.
Next up, all right. So is this the same ship? What is that?
I'm glad you showed that picture. That is actually the second version of the Sockeye. So the Sockeye that I showed you with the Lumicide on the side, this is the version that came just before that. And this was the first version I brought back in beta. Took a couple cool screenshots of it. But then I just, kind of redid it a little bit. And this one actually, a lot of people liked. I have the blueprint still, but I like the newer version a little bit better. So I kept that one.
Wow. That's amazing. And this right here, is that the Sockeye? No, what is that?
That's the Sockeye. That's the same one with the Lumicide on the side.
All right.
Looks totally different from different angles. It's really cool. Like if you looked at it from the back, you wouldn't guess that's the same ship either. If you look at it from the side, it's totally different looking than that. You look at it from a 3/4 top view angle, and it looks like another type of ship. And from the front end, it looks even more different. It's weird.
Looks so cool.
Look, if Batman played Dual Universe, this is what he'd be flying. Just saying. And then here's a picture at our spaceport, and there's that's the base model, isn't it? Or no, someone put a hatch in this.
Yeah, this is a modified version for sure.
Okay. It's really something.
But it's really cool to see the different variations that people like to come up with, and that's really what it was for. It was for, that's why I made it in black to start. I wanted people to be able to imagine their own kind of paint job on it, or put their own different kinds of elements on it so that they could modify it like they see fit.
All right, now, well, it's time for some Q&A. Pantera, you want to hit them with some of these questions we got lined up?
Let's see. What one? We already answered that one. What's the first online game you ever played?
Pretty sure it was EverQuest 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I built my first computer I built for that. I had to absolutely play EverQuest 1. I saw it in magazines while I was at work on break, and I just fell in love with some of the pictures and the ideas of EverQuest 1. I liked how you could actually go to a dock and you could wait for a ship to show up at a certain time and then actually sail across an ocean and go to a different place, and everybody was in the same place at the same time. It was just really, really cool idea. So I got it together and decided to learn how to build my own computer so that I could get online and play. So that was my first online game.
And it's I think the online game that kind of led to the industry being what it is today. Really?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely shaped everything. World of Warcraft wouldn't be what it is. EverQuest 2 wouldn't have came along, and lots of games nowadays still take ideas from EverQuest 1, and a lot of people still think EverQuest 1 had some of the best ideas in terms of questing and how long it takes to do things.
Yeah, and it was the brainchild of Brad, right? He's
I
passed.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, we miss
Yeah,
him.
way back in Varen days.
Yeah. Naerais says, "Be still her heart." That's what won you over in EQ. The boats to OOT. So what server did you play on?
Oh God, so long. God, I can't remember.
I remember my server. Coelius.
Oh, cool. Draws a row. How about
Yeah.
you, Pantera?
I played 2. I didn't play 1.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of people here played EQ or EQ2. I mean, it's
I think it was Zagoni, if I remember right, or
Okay.
Zegony, however you want to
Oh,
pronounce
Zegony.
that.
Zegony? Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
always called it Zegony.
I think everybody pronounced it differently. It's just a
Yeah.
weird word.
Yeah, that is true. Unless you worked there. If you worked at Sony, you knew how to pronounce everything.
Right. Like everybody pronounced Kinos the different ways, but it was actually Sony EQ backwards.
Right. Is Pantera, is that his voxel board?
Shh. So that's going to come for the next question. Is what is your favorite voxel building tool and why? That's going to where that picture comes into play.
Well, I have to use the basic voxel tools. I kind of like all of them together, but I think if I had to choose one and it was the only one that I could use, it'd have to be the line tool. I like the line tool a lot.
Really, the line
Interesting.
tool. Oh, I would.
Yeah.
I figured it was the tetrahedron tool.
You would think so. I have a lot of ships with that shape in there. I could probably build any ship that I have with just tetrahedrons, but the line tool comes into play so many different times. I mean, if you're going to use a stretched out tetrahedron, then the best way to actually match and parallel that line is to use the line tool. So you won't be able to build any of my ships without a line tool or tetrahedron for that matter. So
Wow. Let me.
So
pull
you
this-
want to show the
Yeah, I'm trying to get
the
this
viewers are the 1K's voxel board.
Yep. Give me a second. Hoping it comes up in the list. God, I got so many good pictures.
there's a lot of people with different types of voxel boards out there, a lot of voxelmancy going on, a lot of craziness, and it's amazing what people can do. You know, even from back in the landmark days, they had amazing voxel boards, and I see different iterations and stuff in dual universe, stuff to fit our types of a building style in this new voxel game. And they just keep evolving and keep getting more and more complex, and it amazes me every single time I see a new one.
It's it's mind blowing. We saw a bunch at Grimstones this week. Here's 1K's voxel board.
There you go.
So I think one of the most important things of interviewing you here for the show is that really you just use the basic tools.
That is
Yep.
great.
So these amazing ships that you're seeing, these are not done with wicked voxelmancy. 1K's using the basic tools. And thank you, Pantera, for grabbing that screeny.
Mm-hmm.
That really illustrates how powerful the basic tools are for design.
Yep. That's the whole point of everything that I've been doing. I mean, I'm kind of lazy, also in that respect. I'm not going to say that, I prefer this over any type of voxelmancy style. Voxelmancy will make my style obsolete one day, but you're going to have to be, a better builder than me, just period. You're going to have to make it look nicer.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is that even from landmark days, I've always said to myself, if I can make this look good, then I hope that I can use it to inspire everybody else to actually build the same, at the same level as me. And maybe I can set a bar for people, not to get too big of a head or anything. But I like to show everybody that it's totally possible to make anything in the game, even using just the basic tools. You don't need to go through and get this huge voxelmancy board that somebody made in order to stitch together this perfect angle or find this perfect shape that you could never do before. It's nice to have that ability, but you don't need it. You can make something totally from scratch, which is what I do every single time I build. I don't use a board ever, unless it's this board. But if I always build using just the basic tools straight out of my head from scratch every single time, come up with some kind of new idea in my style. And everybody's going to have a different one, even if you just use these basic tools. Like that voxelmancy board right there. The only reason why that voxelmancy board is the way it is because that's the only things that I use to build my entire house, the entire structure, that entire tower that we showed in the screenshot earlier. Just those 3 textures and those 2 shapes. I didn't even.
Nope.
It was all just copied and pasted 45-degree angles that I just kept stringing together and making those angles. And as long as you can just copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste, you can make things as big as you want.
Barry was asking, is that the default wedge or the improved wedge?
That's the default. The default works a lot better than it used to. Ever since they used the mesh server, it's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It really. I saw a lot of ships that I recognized from the alpha and before they added the mesh server, and then seeing them after they added the mesh server. It's just stunning. Oh, that's so cool.
Question.
Next question. Yeah.
Question.
Magic?
Why are all your ships named after fish, 1K?
Originally, it was just to have a lot of names to name something with. I noticed that there's a lot of fish in the sea. There's a lot of different names for them, and there's a lot of different styles of fish. But eventually, it kind of became something that I could really relate to. I live in the Pacific Northwest, as Dyfed was complimenting me earlier on. A lot of stuff up here is based on river fishing and sea fishing, and we have a lot of things named after different various types of sea creatures and animals and things like that. So the sockeye, the chinook, any type of fish really is something that I wanted to explore in the naming of my ships. And I even went a little bit crazy with the more experimental ships. I go into a little bit more of a mythological type stance to find more names. So I got the Naga out of that, and then the Kraken. So anything fish, I just keep trying to find different fish names, and I always succeed. So
what was the ship that put you on the map? What was the first ship that you made that really got a lot of visibility?
The one that won the competition, right?
The Goblin Shark.
The
really.
Goblin Shark.
I mean, the Goblin Shark was the most important ship of my dual universe career.
I'm not sure you had named it yet. I know you brought it over, and I got to see it, and my first reaction was, holy cow, it looks like a Goblin Shark. And
yep, the naming credit has to go to Geo. Geo was the very first one to come up with the Goblin Shark name. But I would not have named it the Goblin Shark if I didn't believe in my heart that it actually did look like a Goblin Shark.
But it really did.
Crazy how much it does.
It really so. And we've got the original video from Novaquark here. This is the ship. We had a shipbuilding contest back in, good Lord, was that beginning of
many
Alpha?
moons ago.
Was it beginning of Alpha?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Anyway, check this out, everybody. Remember. Check it out.
Man, this has been a long time.
December 2018.
Good Lord, almost two years ago. I just noticed, is one of those runners up the actual shuttle that goes to the sanctuary moon?
Oh, might have been. And here it is.
Still looks good today. Notice the black on black still.
Yes, that is so cool.
So where'd the name come from?
That was Geo.
No,
yeah.
your name.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Please. Yeah.
Where did 1,000 stars come from?
That was my. I think that started in World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft. I just came up with a name, and the reason I wanted to name it was because I believe that we're all made of stars, and I wanted to be a mash of as many stars as possible. So I came up with 1,000 of them. So, and it just sounded good to me. So, and it's easy to put into the naming filter. It usually always passes. So.
Yeah. And have you ever seen? I mean, no one else has ever had your name in any other game you joined. So.
And I love the abbreviation. 1K is way cool.
Yeah.
I think one of the girls from the old stream back in Landmark actually came up with that for me, and it just kind of stuck, and I loved it, so I kept it as long as I could. It's really hard to get a 2-digit in through the naming filter, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it makes for a great logo. You see it on the floor there in your pad.
Yep, and even the logo itself has my my philosophy in it. It's simple. It uses only those 2 basic shapes from my voxelmancer board to make.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Hello, Nuber. Nuber popped in for a minute. And good morning, everybody. We're doing Let's Talk Dual Universe with 1K, and my host over here is Pantera.
I think he has to leave for work pretty quick.
Yeah,
right?
Pantera's got
A minute.
a minute. You want to? So next question's yours.
I just asked one. Okay, man. I was so going back when you were talking about being inspirational. So Dyfed had a question: is how come you so good and we not so good as you?
Is that the question, really?
Yeah, really.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't consider myself better than anybody. I mean, I look at the tools I use. I use basic tools. A lot of people have told me that I just have an eye for it. I don't know. I guess maybe I just have more practice than you guys. And if you keep trying to do it over and over and over again, eventually you're gonna get good. And I've been doing it since 2015. So.
Do you just mess with shapes? I mean, do you just experiment? Do you have like a lot of ships that we've never seen?
Not a whole lot. I think I've shown off most of my ships. Some of them didn't get as much attention as others, and I didn't like them as much, so I didn't put them out there. But I have, I think, maybe 10 or 15 ships that I've saved over just the dual universe time here since Alpha. I even have the Manta saved still, which is amazing in my mind.
Yeah, that was. Oh my gosh, that thing was so cool.
The Manta. Oh, go ahead.
Dyfed said that was a joke question. It wasn't meant for the stream.
Well,
Thanks,
it's there.
Pantera.
They got answered.
Well, I've even found, even in my personal rumblings, that I can look at a ship and I build something and people think I'm like, that's kind of crap, and somebody else goes, that's awesome, and I'm like, what's awesome about it? It looks like crap. So we are our own worst critics.
True. Very true.
And you've been so 1K has been neighbors of Pantera, myself, and Cerula since the game started.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've always built in proximity. So I've had a chance to see a lot of things that you like, my God, what is he doing today? And just like boom, boom, boom. There's a ship. I'm like, that's better than anything I could ever make. And we never see it again. Poof.
And then I'm like, delete it. I don't like it very much.
I just want to interject that even beta has just been going for like a month now, let's say 4 weeks, but 1K was a builder in Landmark for what, 3 years?
Yeah, from day one, I
From
was
day
in
one.
Landmark, so
And then you were also in pre-alpha from day one. So
yes.
that's like 6 years of building with these tools.
Yep.
So don't get discouraged, new people that have only had the game for 4 weeks.
So the best thing that I can suggest really is when I say that I build something from scratch, I actually do, but that's because I have practice and I know how to create the shapes that I like fast because I've been doing it for a long time. One of the things that I suggest doing if you're going to be using just the basic voxel tools like I do is take a dynamic core or even a static core and just build some interesting shapes that you like, put them together, and then just save them for another time. And you're creating your own voxel board of your own style. And eventually you'll get to the point where you have enough shapes that you can kind of put them together in your own fashion. And eventually you'll just reuse and reuse. You can get your own styles out of many different shapes and different ships built out of those.
And
We have to
Pantera's
say,
yeah.
go ahead.
Pantera's got to head out. He's got to get to work.
Yeah, to work.
real life calls.
Yeah.
But we can continue. Yeah, Pantera, you can go ahead and.
I was gonna say switch to your whatever scene you're gonna switch to before I leave, so it doesn't
Yeah.
screw everything up.
Well, that's cool.
All right.
Thank you,
Peace out.
Pantera.
Bye, 1K.
Yeah, be good, man.
Bye, Pantera.
I'm gonna leave my ship here. Don't tow it.
Oh, I'll knock it in the water.
No, please don't. Fallen in the water once. I had to run to the coast, fetch it, and fly back. You have no way to get up here.
No, Cerullo, I only have that one voxel board.
And then Cerullo had another question up above.
What's that?
If you build a ship, do you build for utility or looks? Which one comes first?
About half the ships that I've built have been just because I wanted an experimental shape. But when it comes to actually playing the game, I do a lot of things solo, so I have to have functional ships. So I build functional ships with utility in mind before I even plan what it's going to look like. And if you want to know how I build a ship, especially when it's going to be functional, I don't just build the shapes and then stick some elements on it. I actually put all the internals where I would like to place them. And once I have all the internals placed, then I build voxels around those, make the basic shape structure that I like of the ship. Then I add my external or thrust, usually all the hovers and the adjusters, all of the atmos and the space engines, and put everything together. And then I build a little bit more around that to integrate it into the existing shape of the ship.
Done such an amazing job. Just I go back to the original thought that you just use the basic tools here, and if you had advice to give to anybody about how to use the basic tools or how to just experiment with them, what would you tell them? How should they start?
Well, experiment really. A lot of the stuff that I did in the beginning to get the shapes that I liked were failures. You gotta fail in order to succeed. You gotta fail to appreciate it, and making your line tool work for the first time in a nice clean shape is just one of the little tiny wins that I think is nice, because a lot of people will use the line tool for the first time and they'll see it turn out like a crinkly French fry and they'll be like, oh, this thing doesn't work like I want it to. But if you just adjust things a little bit, just move one voxel up or one voxel down, or even go to the other side of a voxel when you're using the line tool, then it might turn out clean. And if it turns out clean, then that's something you might want to continue using. And if it doesn't hit the right parallel, then you can always start from a different way. So using the basic tools is kind of tricky because you're never going to exactly get what you want. You're not going to be able to perfect the perfect line that you have in your mind. but you'll be able to get clean lines out of it, and it'll still look just as good as you imagined.
Do you use the line tool to cut through other shapes and then copy what's left? I mean, you understand what I'm saying? So basically,
Do I use the line tool as a tool itself?
to cut with.
Yeah, sometimes I do, but it's inadvertent. It's not something that ends up happening on purpose. I do use the place voxel tool a lot to flatten out surfaces and get rid of some bumps,
Okay.
And it's really the new dominance system has helped a lot. It's made my life so much easier. The way that I've always built has always been to implement different shapes into existing shapes, and to be able to just hold shift when you're putting a specific voxel shape into a wall and just have it be there, just amazing as it was when you built it in the air. It's a really good tool to have, that shift button. But for the place voxel tool, when you have a bump that you don't like on your build, if something's gone astray, if you have a really melted crayon type looking thing and you want it flat, then you can use that place voxel tool and just stretch it over the entire thing, one layer, delete that entire layer after it's done, and it'll look nice and crisp on top.
That's great advice. Is there a particular tool you'd like to see modified, or a new tool added to our set, or
Yeah,
capability?
I only really want one more thing. The rest is going to be elements that I would want. But for the tool system, the only thing that I could really take advantage of would be a negative paste system. So if I have a shape, for example, like even just a donut, if I have a donut and I have a solid wall, if I could go in with that pre-selected, copied, ready to paste donut, and I hit the Alt key, then I could negatively subtract that donut from the wall, and that would just be amazing to be able to do.
Yeah, that's using what's in your paste buffer. Negative paste. That would be a fantastic tool. What about a voxel point editor? Something that you could edit
I
all
think
the
that would
vertices.
be. I think that's going to be really interesting to see if we get that. I think I would definitely play around with it a lot, and it might change the landscape of Dual Universe as we know it. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are making these voxelmancy boards, and there's people that are, like me included, that are really, really intimidated by these giant dot to dots, is what
Yeah.
I call them. It's like I understand kind of how it works, and I could really get into depth with some of the stuff and talk to people about it. But I can see why people are kind of straying away from those kinds of boards and using them. It's a really tricky thing to learn. Luckily, we have videos out if you want to watch those.
Yes.
But if you have a voxel editor that's able to take vertices in an existing shape and pull them out to where you want them to be, and then you just be able to save that shape as is, then that takes away a lot of the complexity of the entire thing, maybe 90% of it. So
Wow.
all of a sudden it doesn't it's not really an intimidating thing anymore, and people believe that they can really make anything that they can see, and that'll help with the projectors. Even, if you have a projection, which I see a lot of people using nowadays, you can really hit those lines that you need to hit in order to make it look the way you want it to.
Yeah, I was watching, I think it was Bognagus was using a
Yeah.
projector to work on a ship that he's been working on. And I thought to myself, how is he going to try and make those shapes inside that projector and then copy them to his actual ship? And a voxel point editor would really just make that quick work.
I agree. He could definitely make those lines clean. It's just going to take a lot of work to do it, and I don't know if people have the patience to watch that on stream or not. But if they do, no, props
Well,
to them. But it seems like it might be a kind of of a boring thing to
Well,
watch on a stream.
speaking of streaming, though, Sagent asks, would you ever stream or record your process for making ships and buildings?
I thought about it. It's still up in the air. I don't know. I might do it. I kind of, on one hand, don't want to give away my secrets, but I
Yeah.
really don't have a whole lot of secrets to give away. And on the other hand, I'm kind of nervous about people judging the way that I build and trying to find new ways to do it better than I could do it, and criticizing the simplicity that there is in the building style. But my final product speaks for itself, and I'm not worried
Yeah.
about that. So if I can make it look good and you guys like it, then who cares how I built it?
Yes, exactly. It'd be nice to just have a tutorial showing how you use the basic tools. So in the tutorial, you wouldn't have to actually build a ship or anything. Just show how you use those tools to make different shapes that you happen to like. But I think we've given folks here a lot of guidance on how they can experiment themselves.
I hope so. I hope somebody got something from this.
I did.
We've got a lot of tutorials out on the Infinity Corp YouTube station, but we're still lacking that beginner voxel tool tutorial.
Yeah, I think that would be a wonderful place to start. And it's a tutorial that 1K is not the only person who could knock that out. I think there's lots of people good at explaining the basics. I love watching the videos that we've got, though. They're great. And go to our YouTube at Infinity Corporation and just check out the tutorials. There are some fantastic pieces out there where we talk about Lua, working with voxels, and several levels of voxel tutorials. And Nuber says he's got 6 more tutorials to post.
He would love 1K to do a basic voxel tutorial.
He's already talked to me about it.
Okay.
Okay. I hear some arm twisting going on in the background. Mhaijik, we got some more questions though that we have not had a chance to ask yet.
Okay, I have a question. What do you prefer, 1K, dogs or cats?
There was a time in my life when I would have said dogs straight up, but then we actually got a cat, and now I really do like cats. They're much easier to take care of, and I don't feel like getting up at 6 a.m. to take one out. So if I have a cat, they just go to the bathroom by themselves and do whatever they need to do. You just got to put food in their bowl and make sure they're clean and everything's good. So maybe cats. I don't know. Dogs are still up there. It's got to be a tie. I don't know.
Ties are good.
So you don't have both, do you? Dogs and cats?
I used to have dogs growing up. I had nothing but dogs almost the entirety of my childhood, and I love dogs just because they're your buddy, Whereas cats are more like a live-in person with knives that makes you feed them.
Yeah. Yep.
A live-in person with knives that makes you feed them. All right. Oh, geez. Well, I've got a question for you. It's would you go to Mars with Elon Musk?
Absolutely, yes. As long as it's okay with my family.
All right. I don't know. I imagine it's a one-way trip, but I don't know. Would you let him drive your Cybertruck?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd ask him to make me a skipjack, though.
Well, and he'd probably do it. Could you imagine if we got Elon in the game? He does do a little bit of gaming. He does. He doesn't have much time for stuff outside his field of focus, but he does a little bit of gaming. It'd be fun to have him here.
It'd be cool to sell him a ship.
Yeah.
So, Mhaijik, you want to read the question from Sagent?
I was just going to ask you to read it. Okay, I can do it. Sagent says, when designing a utility ship, do you worry about min-max, making sure nothing has any obstruction percentage and stuff like that?
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes, luckily we have a tooltip up top, a nice stat tracker thingy up top, so we can tell where all those things are, and it makes it easier to make sure everything's in the right spot. But I usually make sure that all of my thrust and all of my lift is all unobstructed. Sometimes there's a 5% issue, or maybe even a 15% issue on something. But if it's more than that, then I'll usually find another way to move it around. As for the min maxing on stuff, I luckily have a great organization who has a vast field of technicians that have points into those talents to make all of my wonderful elements at peak performance for me. So I'll just place them where they need to be, and they'll min max it for me.
Yeah, we've got an amazing team. Folks, and he's talking about Infinity Corporation.
Yes, Infinity Corporation, along with Profit Rocket Foundry.
Yep. You and Pantera and myself are all legates, aren't we? In Profit?
I don't know if I'm a legate. Not sure.
I can check. I'm in game.
You should beat Pantera over the head.
Either way, I am the 1K.
Yeah,
People know me.
that is for sure. So yeah, Kermit asks, "1K, what's your main organization?"
Main organization would be Infinity Corps. They're the parent, as I like to call them. I always say that Profit Rocket Foundry is a subsidiary with Infinity. We work alongside of them. We work for them. We do kind of our own thing. I'm kind of a solo guy myself anyway, but I definitely will work with those two organizations primarily in different things that they want to do.
Yeah, what we see coming out of Profit Rocket is ship design. Just rock solid ship design. We see Pantera's freighter is his big diesel freighter truck is in the Medium Ship Museum on Alioth, and that thing is just amazing. But 1K's Skipjack is going to be our first mass-produced ship, sold by Infinity Corporation. Yep, I knew her.
Soon, trademark.
Yeah, can't wait. It really is a spectacular design, and it's, I think, among the staff at Novaquark, I think it is their favorite ship, hands down. And they love tinkering with it.
Judging by the different kinds of variants they have in all the videos, I would say so.
Yeah. Mhaijik, we got some more questions?
I think we've used up about ours. I mean, there's one we haven't asked. If you had an airplane, what would you name it? But I kind of have a feeling.
Skipjack.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we need to get Elon on that. Just saying.
It'd probably end up being like a Cessna or something for personal use. So yeah, definitely Skipjack. If I had like for some crazy reason I was able to fly like an F-18 or an F-16 or something crazy like that, MiG-29, then I'd probably end up going with Goblin Shark.
Oh, cool.
That's amazing.
Do you have any questions from the viewers? We've been answering them as you guys ask, but...
So Sajent says he's not been around much, but he's noticed your designs seem to use the basic tools due to the angles that he sees.
Yep, everything's using just the basic tools. I like to show people that the basic tools are totally viable. You don't have to use supreme voxelmancer to get nice shapes.
So he asks if you do any designs with curves.
Yeah, I actually, the Blue Chimera from back in the day, that actually used a few curves in it. I'm actually planning on using more curves in the future. I haven't done it in a while. It's totally possible, and I love using them, and it's about time, I think.
Mhaijik, can you find the Chimera from one of the tweets? Or send it to me as a direct message.
I'll try.
If you can, I'll pull it up on the screen.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, that was a really cool ship, and that was one that used curves, and that's one that we haven't shown off yet. Now, do you have... Well, which of your ships do you have back in the game at this point? How many ships?
Just the Skipjack. The Sockeye is a version that I hadn't made yet, so
Okay.
everything else is brand new. But I have plans to bring a lot of the old ships back and put them on display at Thousand Island.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and one more asks, how much more are you going to add to the lake build, which is what we see the slideshow of.
Right now, it's taking up just about as much space as it's gonna take up. I might add another core if I need to add more space, just for display models. But as is right now, I think I've got plenty of space to put some display models on display.
Yeah, dude, I love your house. Just absolutely love it.
It's been a blast. I'm really into it for some reason. I haven't built an actual tower in a long time, and I've always been afraid of building buildings, static core stuff, because I just can't wrap my head around it for some weird reason. But lately, I've been able to get into the detail a little bit more than usual, and make some unique shapes. So I got excited about it.
You, well, what's interesting is when we were neighbors in the pre-alpha, you built one that was really cool.
Terrible. It was terrible.
Oh.
It was like two boxes on top of each other, and it just had weird outlines.
I remember when you tore it down. I was like, oh, I'm so sad. Because I thought it was so cool. But of course, that is before we had the mesh server technology. Boy, that.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Well, speaking of mesh server technology, can you talk for a moment how that technology changed the game for you?
Yeah, I mean, if I take my Goblin Shark into example, I had my Goblin Shark from before the mesh server was implemented, and I placed it down after the mesh server was implemented, and it looked pretty much the same. So the difference is that for some reason, especially over the course of the last month since beta has started, they've really gotten to work on the voxel engine, and have completed it to a point where I can't tell the difference between when I'm in build mode and when the mesh server hits. So everything is as hard edge as I like it. It's all as sharp and detailed as I like it. Like I said, I build with the basic 45. I don't build with a modified 45. So the 45 is as sharp as it's ever been, even when I'm in build mode now. So that's really been the key is when the mesh server hit, it wasn't so much the fact that the mesh server made everything look better. It's the fact that the mesh server made everything smooth and easy to load for people. But they also worked on the actual shapes, the basic shapes, and really cleaned up the actual voxel engine as well. So now everything is the same when you place it in build mode, and then you transfer over to the mesh server. It's all totally the same. It's great.
For me, it's the biggest single game changer since we've been testing the game.
Yeah, it's monumentous. It's great. It's something I haven't had in the last 5 years, 6 years of building, and it's something we've always wanted, is to be able to see anything at a distance in the amount of detail that we built it in. It's game changing.
Yeah, for anybody out there who has played voxel games in the past, or you don't play any voxel games, what we're talking about is voxels are typically rendered, raw voxels are rendered by your CPU and not your graphics card. And so when you have these big creations that are made of just pure voxels, that has to be rendered on the CPU, and it's a lot slower to render, and at distance, it basically looks like melted crayons, and that's what we experience in Landmark. And what Novaquark has done is invented a system that takes your voxel creation, your construct, and converts it on the fly, renders it to a 3D mesh that is then received by your game client and rendered on your graphics card in full high res, with none of the overhead associated with it previously. So it's an extraordinary game changer for us. in Dual Universe. It's really remarkable.
Now we got some more questions from the audience. Do you keep, this is from Sagent, do you keep the ships or save a blueprint and then strip down for a new design?
Yeah, usually when I complete a ship, I'll put a blueprint on it. If I'm in the middle of it, I'll usually try and finish it. It may not be the best idea in the world, but when I get to a point where I feel like the ship could have elements added to it to make it fly and test it out, then I'll usually blueprint it from there. If I want to strip it down and make a new version of it, then I will save the blueprint as is, and then I'll make a new version and I'll rename it and I'll put it as a new version. So the Skipjack actually has, I think, 5 or 6 different versions of it, from the day one model that I have all the way up to the V4 that it is now. The V3 was a really exciting version that we had, modified by Infinity Core, and it works absolutely amazingly. It's right up there in capability as the V4 and in different methods. So that's no joke either. But the V2 is kind of getting old and dated, and the first version is just absolutely terrible, and it doesn't fly very well at all. So, but the shape is still there.
The V3 is a perfectly designed ship, in my opinion, and I have to imagine everybody at NQ flies it around too. To have fallen in love with it and crashes. Yeah, it's funny though. I have seen wrecked ships left on the planet by NQ. They grabbed someone's. They grabbed Helvetian space shuttle. It was totally destroyed out in the desert somewhere. That was a long time ago. We got a couple more questions. There's one from Isla. Is it Josh Mandy? Josh Mitty says, do you try to hollow out your larger ships, or do you feel that the weight saving is negligible and leave them as solid?
Oh, well, with the larger ships, I have a different kind of approach to the larger ships, a medium core and up usually. And the approach that I'm talking about is I now have a space that I have to build around. If I left a medium core or a large core totally solid, or even with no interior, then it would be super heavy as is. So usually when I go for a large core or a medium core ship, then I'll think of the interior first, and I'll actually design the inner space that I want within reason, and I'll try and build as well as I can around that. And usually that determines the shape of the ship, and I'll have a basic idea of where I wanted to start with it, but I never really kind of make them solid all the way through. There's times when I'll use like the Tetra, and I'll have a lot of material there on the Tetra, and that's usually for armor type purposes.
Okay.
I like to put those on there so that I'll have a little bit of extra voxel material for combat in the future.
Now, have you done any PvP yet?
I haven't, but I have to. I have piloting skills kind of going towards that a little bit, so that I can go and test the meta when I need to. I'm going to be making ships based around PvP, so I'm going to have to find out what the meta is at that particular time, because it's ever changing. So
Vulpus, he makes a comment that I think is in line with your building style. He says he doesn't have patience for voxelmancy. He likes.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to do angles, and he likes the look. Yeah, you see it all throughout 1K's work. Very, very simple.
And that comes with a bonus too. If you can find good shapes and you can make things that you like to see, that you are happy with, which shows in your work, by the way, then you will have an easier time and a faster time than most people will building their ships. Like if you get used to the voxelmancy tools, like a voxel board that a lot of people are using, I'm sure you can get your speed up on them, but it'll never be as fast as using the base tools. And if you can make that look good, then you got a one up on a lot of people.
Bubsy asks, do you use or would you use extended voxels, like mega voxels?
Oh yeah. Yes, there are times when I have actually used voxelmancy in their basic form. For example, one of my favorite easy voxelmancy things that I like to do is make antennas.
Mm.
So I'll
Mhm.
usually just take a cube, and I'll use the smooth tool on it a couple times, and then I'll get in there and copy it, and just copy and paste until it's a line. And you can even change the color of the tips, especially with like lumicite, and you can make the tip glow like a cool
That's
looking
a
antenna.
that's a really cool aesthetic I've seen on your ships before. And
But one of the problems with that is that when you attach it to a regular voxel, it's going to be in the center of where a regular voxel would be.
mhm.
So it's going to pull up the material that you place it above, and it's going to make a little pyramid. So there's other voxelmancy type things that can extend a voxel to the point where it's almost invisible to the touch of another voxel.
Yep, you extrude it.
Um,
Yep.
yep, and that'll make it possible for you to place your antenna flush onto a voxel, or it may at least make it look that way. So that's just one of the basic 101 type voxelmancy tools that I might use here and there, but it's really not necessary.
Great
One
questions. Yep, man.
one more idiot was wondering how much more you're going to add to your lake build, if you are.
Um, I gotta do the entire interior. I mean, it's gonna be fully traversable, so you're gonna be able to walk upstairs, and I'm not gonna use any elevators if I can. So I'm gonna have everything tourable, so you can go in there and just go to the different places and look around and stuff and see the lake from different angles. And that's going to involve quite a bit of interior work. And I think the exterior's got probably another, I don't know, 33% left over detail wise to do on the top. So quite a bit more work.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to make your pillars there with the wedge shape on top. And now I know I know how to make them.
Yeah, it's
Trying
pretty
to
easy. You just
how
got to
am I
copy and
gonna
paste.
cut that wedge? Oh wait, I don't have to.
Yeah, one of the great things about using just base tools is that everything that you have in an angle is going to be a
Yeah,
45. I
that's
mean,
yeah.
you can stretch your 45 if you want. As long as you keep that design shape in mind, then everything that you use is going to be a stretched 45 in that same angle. But in this particular build, I used just 45s, and I just wanted to make those two shapes, the cube and the 45, the only things that I used.
Yeah.
And it made it really, really easy to make any angle that I wanted to.
Yeah, you just made me really happy. Because when I first saw your house, it was like, I really like those. How am I gonna make them? And it's like, oh, I can make them.
That's right.
Any more questions from viewers out there? 1K, thank you for your time today. Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the extended time slot. It's awesome.
We've been looking forward to talking to you about what you do for a long time.
I'm glad somebody's interested.
I think you've had a profound impact on the game, to be honest. Maybe that's just me, but yeah.
A lot of people are interested. How can we get 1K to give us design tips on our own builds?
Send your pictures
Sounds
too.
like a business.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, folks, make sure you're following us on all of our channels on social media, and make sure you're following 1K on Twitter. 1K, you got your Twitter handy?
Yeah, that's at OnethousandStars69.
At OnethousandStars69.
Yeah, and the 69 is because my astrological sign is a Cancer. It's not because I particularly like that number for any particular reason.
Yeah, same here, man. 69. Cancer. Awesome. Well, everybody, we're going to roll the official beta trailer and wrap it up, and we will see you guys. We'll be on Monday back on Landmark Explorer doing our shtick, showing off ships and crazy designs, cool stuff that we find in game. and then we'll be back here next Friday. And looks like we've got a very big and popular streamer that hopefully we'll have, but I don't have a confirmation yet, so keep our fingers crossed. Because and 1K, thanks again, man. Just really great.
Yeah,
stuff.
thank
no
you.
problem.
This was
Thanks for having me.
awesome.
I appreciate it. I'm honored.
As are we.